Hello, this is Jen and Litmus. Hiya, Jen. How are you doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Cool. So this is Galactic Centre broadcast number 1, and it's like, what is it? It's Moon Day. It's a Wednesday. It's the first day of a new deacon. The 11th of Cancer in the Universal Celestial Synchronometer, and because of course they don't use Gregorian at all at Galactic Centre apparently, so I've been told, which is very handy for me, but a little bit more work for everyone else. But what do you reckon, Jen?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of what this is, changing the operating system and like finding lots of fast track ways to kind of come to understand ourselves. And I think
Cool.
the UCC is one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna run through the background to how we formed the group, and try and answer the question about, galactic center starseeds. What does that all mean? I'm going to give a little background to how it came to me. You're going to do the same, right, Jen, then?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, we'll look at like what does the theory of this suggest? Because I think the first thing to say is, this is just a live chat discussion about how does everyone feel about it, and does it make sense, and does it vibe with you? Are you excited? All that. So we'll get into all of that as well, because I want everyone to know I'm not saying like I know that we are all from Galactic Centre and we are all here as a sole group to do a mission, and I think that I see that from what I've looked at, but I'm not saying it's we can't. How can you say it's a definite thing? You can't, right? So the whole point of today for me is to just share what me and Jen have been talking about and what we've discovered, and then just to get everyone's views on how it vibes, and and then we'll see what does it all mean, or does it not mean anything, or we'll just see where we go. Yeah, keep it open.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. Yeah, and anyone who wants to chip in when we've done our sort of intros and stuff, feel free to chip in then. If you'd rather not be on the recording, but you're happy to chip in on the after show chat, that's cool too. Or if you don't want to chip in at all, that's also totally fine. You can just like listen and soak up the info. And of course, there's not going to be much info, right? Yeah, right. So just know we are all awesome, multi-dimensional light beings from the one true consciousness of infinite love here on a mission in the material world, right? So we have amazing brain capacity. We have amazing intellectual power. It's a lot stronger than we all realize it is. And all we have to do is close our eyes and look inside and connect with the source, and we'll be able to retain loads and loads of information. Or you can be autistic like me, but that's okay too. So maybe it's a bit of both. Yeah, so we're going to see what you guys all think of it, and we can do a bit of a Q&A and then see where we go from there. How does that sound, Jen? Is that all right?
It sounds good, yeah, because I want to make sure that we leave plenty of time for anybody else's intuitive nudges on this as well, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So my quick intro really is, I guess I looked at galactic starseeds. Well, I just looked at starseeds and galactic astrology a few times over the years since I got into astrology, and then I was fascinated by the subject. So every now and again I'd think, oh, what about sidereal, and what about this, and what about that? And I had one of those I heard about, I think it was Pam Gregory or someone mentioned someone she was doing an interview with, and she had a website about galactic astrology. So I thought, oh, I'll have a look at that. And then a couple of years ago, I had a reading from someone recommended on that website, and it was really cool, and I learned a lot more. And then it just sort of left it for a while, but I knew I had Galactic Centre connections through my aspects in my birth chart, but I also add them to stars in Orion, you know, and Sirius, and I think Lyra and a few others. But you know, I had quite a lot of galactic connections, and there's not just galactic center. There's 3 other points which are connected in a galactic way, like, you know, they're astronomy kind of things. They're labeled like the Shapley super attractor and the galactic super center and all this kind of stuff. But today we're just looking at galactic center. All right. So yeah, I'd done that, and I was, you know, I had that reading, and then for some reason, which I can't remember, Malvin, me little voice inside, Malvina, they said to me quite recently, start of this year, you know, start of Aries sort of time. Actually, when I came to the land here more, they just said, oh, have a look at this galactic center stuff again, you know. So I did, you know, I arose one morrow and blissed myself and and opened up my sort of galactic astrology file, and I was like, oh yeah, you know, and me and you had just sort of met properly, and I thought, oh, I wonder if Jen's got any of this, you know. So I looked at your chat, and then I found you had galactic center stuff as well, and I was like, oh, that's cool, you know. And then you came over to visit, right? And we talked about it then, yeah?
Yeah, and then you looked at Ivy's chart as well. My daughter, who she doesn't really want to be involved in any of this because she thinks it's nuts, but she's 16. But it was interesting that she had it as well. And then for a while I was thinking, oh, this is just a thing that everyone has because everyone's sort of hybrid. You know, we've all got different pieces of all sorts of things. But the more that Litmus has gone on with this, the more he's realised it isn't just a thing that everyone has. He's realised we've all attracted each other somehow through the vessel of holistic radio.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, when we were talking about it, because like you say, Ivy turned out to have these connections as well, and then, you know, I looked at my kids, and my eldest son Chris, he's got it, but my younger one hasn't, you know. Yeah, and then I just started looking at other people, and I thought, well, I wonder about holistic radio, you know, and I just found that all you guys I interact with on holistic radio have all got some kind of galactic center placement as well. And then I looked at people from CPN, Conscious People's Network, the group I used to be in. It's how I met Helen, and Helen brought me into holistic radio. Yeah, and then all the people from there that I'm still in touch with, like Helen and Charlie Speller and Alexia and Anna Barker and Kathleen, and, you know, they've all got them as well. And I thought, well, this is nuts, you know. It's like, maybe it's more common than I thought. So then I looked at, you know, over the years, I've done hundreds and hundreds of chats, and I've still got them all. So I started looking through chats of people that I kind of connected with in a good way on my travels over the years. And I found all those have got galactic center connections. Then I looked at other people that I've done chats for, where I'll be honest, I can't even remember who half of them are. There's just like a Mariana with Sun in Libra. Who's that? You know, I can't even remember who that. And I looked at those chats, and they didn't have any. You know? So then I was thinking, oh, okay, there's a thing here. You know, basically people I've had a good connection with have all got galactic center, and the ones I haven't. And I'm not saying my youngest son, of course, I connect very well with him, and it's not, that doesn't apply there. But, you know, people I've run into who've friends of friends or whatever, or who I might have thought, yeah, these are nice people. And they've always said, oh, can you do my chat? You know, and I've done their chat. So I've been able to look at those. Yeah, and what I found is, as I say, you know, all those people don't have connections, but all the ones like you guys do. So I don't believe in coincidences. As you know, Celestine prophecy is one of my go-to things. And that suggests to me that this isn't a coincidence. It's It's a synchronicity, right? So it's possible that maybe one of the reasons that we all met on Holistic Radio is to do whatever this galactic center mission thing is. You know, who knows? Maybe it's one of the reasons Andy set the radio thing up without realizing it. You know, who knows? I don't know. But all I'm saying is it is not typical. It is not common. All right. And just to put that in context, I've run the numbers, and basically the chances of anyone having a galactic center connection for a planet or key point in your chart is only 8.3%. All right. So it's not 80%. It's not 50%. It's 8.3%. Right. And obviously then the more planets you look at, you've got more chance of having at least one of them with some kind of link. Right. But the chances of having as many as we've got and us all having them is, I don't even know what the odds are, but the odds are very high against that to me. So that says to me there's something here, right, that we should look at.
Sorry, Litmus, can I just ask a question on what you do? I know you, when you're saying 8%, is that like 8% of, like, for one person, it's like only 8% that you might meet somebody else? And you're saying, and yet we've all met. So that's what makes it even smaller. It's not 8% that we all met, it's 8% that one person would meet another person. So this is infinitesimally small. Is that right?
Yeah. So the chances of you as an individual having an aspect to, if you just started with your son and you said, "Is my son, in an aspect to galactic center?" The chances of the answer being yes is 8.3%. Yeah. And then the chances of you meeting someone else who's got the same thing, obviously, the more people you meet who've got it, the chances of that get higher and higher against it, if you see what I mean, or lower and lower that it's going to happen. So yeah, it's rare. So the chances of us all having it is nuts. And for me, it's not only that we've all got some kind of aspect, it's that the majority of us have got like what we call recent soul connections to galactic center. So that means we've probably had if you believe in all this stuff, right? Which I know you have an issue with reincarnation, Helen, right? So fair enough. But what it suggests is you've had a recent, not you actually, funnily enough, but the majority of us in this GCG group have had recent incarnations at Galactic Center, okay? And what that suggests is this incarnation right here, right now, comes after that. So we've like come from Galactic Center to here with a mission. And that's all of us, apart from, well, not including Ivy, because, obviously she's 16 and she's not going to want to get involved here, as you said. But there's four of us who don't have that, and all the rest of us do. And the four of you don't have that recent aspect, have either distant past or ancient connections. So what that says is, or the theory goes, is that you're here to help the rest of us who have got current missions to fulfill them. Right? So the chances of so many of us having recent connections is really small, right? Because, if you imagine, if we start with Pluto takes 248 years to go around the zodiac, right? So the time, 8.3% of 248 years is still quite a lot of years, right? But it's not, it's still only 8% of the whole total, right? So with something like a Pluto connection in your chart, you would have to be born within a certain time, like a year or two, within a bigger period. But if you've got a sun or a moon or an ascendant connection, they move really fast, right? The sun goes round the zodiac in a year, and the moon goes round it in a month. And your ascendant is all about the day, the time of day you were born. So that's in minutes. You see what I mean? So to have an aspect to your ascendant, you would have to be born within a certain number of, actually 120 minutes, 2 hours in total of that day. Not 2 hours consecutive minutes, 120 consecutive minutes, but 120 minutes of the day in total out of 1,440 minutes in a day, right? Around the zodiac, based on whether it's a conjunction or a sextile 60 degrees apart, or a square 90 degrees apart, or a trine 120 degrees apart, or a opposition 180 degrees apart. Those 5 points will be a few degrees each, but they'll be dotted around the day. So the chances of you happening to be born in those few minutes to get an aspect to galactic center is really small, right? It's 8.3% of the day. But with the moon connection, it's 8.3% of 30 days. And with a solar connection, it's 8.3% of a year, which is 30 days. You know, with the moon, it's 11 hours. 11 hours in a month is one aspect. So 55 hours, you have to be born in one of 55 hours in a whole month to have a lunar aspect to galactic center. You have to be born within one of 120 minutes out of 1,440 minutes to have an aspect to your sun, right? Sorry, to your ascendant in the day. Yeah, and 55 hours in a month, or 30 days in a year for the sun, and so on. And as the thing is, as you go out from away from the sun, the planets move slower and slower, but then the aspects last for longer and longer. So if you're looking at a Pluto aspect, everybody who's born within a certain couple of years at a certain time in its cycle will have an aspect to Pluto, right? But if you're not born in those couple of years, you're not going to have it. So there's much more chance you're not going to have it than you are going to have it. And again, it's always 8.3%. So, yeah, I mean, the chances of loads of us having ascendant, midheaven, moon, sun, or north node, which is what I've looked at for this exercise, in an aspect to galactic center, and that's all having them pretty much, is just very, very small. So if you just remember, you know, as we come into closer to the Earth, everything moves faster, but the aspects move past quicker. And as we go out, away from the way out to Pluto, the planets move much slower, but the aspects last longer. So if you just get that kind of perspective in your mind, hopefully it'll help you to kind of see what's going on. Or you can just take my word for it that it's 8.3%. Does that make sense, or have I gone into too much detail, or what? You tell me. I don't know.
Thanks to me.
It's all as clear as mud. Thank you. No, it's cool. Thank you.
Okay, Helen. So if you, for example, you don't have a recent connection to galactic center, you know, you haven't got one of those faster moving points closer to the Earth in an aspect, but you do have allegedly, according to this theory, a connection in the distant past to galactic center, which is a square with your Mars. Your Mars is in a square to galactic center, and that suggests, if it's a square, it suggests that you agreed, and you know, obviously you could dispute this, But the theory is that you agreed back then, whenever this way distant past connection was, to take on the task of helping to clear some collective karma for galactic center beings who are manifest on Earth now. Right? And that's the only aspect you have, but it's a really important one.
That's really kind of, I know this. I know you're going to go into more detail, but that's really kind of in line with my whole thing about supporting those who do.
Right.
That's something that I've always kind of, I might not be able to do much, but I can definitely support those who do. Not in a financial way before anybody wants to ask me for money.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're all about, right? With the kind of what we might call the Samaritan kind of thing, where you're helping, not a religious thing, but you're helping people who need to talk to someone, right? You're offering, you can come up, we're open at this time, please call if you need help, if you need to talk to someone. That's the classic example, where you're helping to clear some karma. And with the Mars thing, that energy is really about fighting. It's about the masculine, young masculine warrior energy within all of us. That's what Mars represents for all of us, whether we're female or male or older or younger or whatever. We've all got an aspect within ourselves, which is a young male warrior, which gives us our drive and our willpower. And it means we stand up for love against fear and all this kind of stuff, which is what you do, Helen, right? In a beautiful way. So, there's something there for me already, just looking at your one aspect.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me as well, because Helen, I have like the distant and ancient galactic center connection as well, like Helen, and I do a similar kind of thing, like the type of work as Helen as well. So kind of like that mother energy, like therapeutic, shamanic, like way of guiding people. That makes sense to me as well.
Yeah, that's right. And shall I share what your aspects are, Jen, to give people an idea?
Yeah, if you like. Yeah, because I haven't fully downloaded it myself, to be honest.
No, well, of course. I mean, it's a lot. If you don't know about astrology or astronomy or how things move and that, of course, you're not going to just go, oh yeah, but what I'm seeing here is a definite pattern, which is unbelievable. I can't believe it, but I can, if you know what I mean, because these things are happening all the time now, right? We're all getting this kind of stuff all the bloody time. So what you've got, Jen, you've got 3 planets in opposition in Gemini to galactic center in Sagittarius opposite, right? So that's your Mercury, your Venus, and your Saturn. And when they're in opposition, what the theory says is that you won't remember or find out about what you're here to do from a galactic center perspective until later in adult life, right? Which is now.
Yeah.
I have 2 oppositions, so that means I've only just woke up and remembered that I've got this galactic center mission thing. So anyone who's got an opposition will typically become aware or be made aware, or will remember or find out in some way when they're older, what the fact that they've got a mission, and find out what it is, and it could be something they've already been doing all their life. So like you and Helen, because your aspects are to Mercury, that's about how you communicate and your intellect and your mind, right? Your Venus is about your love, how you love, and your Saturn is about boundaries. And I mean, what have we been talking about loads lately, right? Boundaries, I can't believe it. So, you're here to help, to communicate with people in an intelligent way, to communicate the power of love over fear and the importance of boundaries, right? There you go. I mean, what an amazing mission to have, right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me, all of that, because like what I've been doing with my trauma work is ultimately trying to point people back to themselves in terms of trauma work, and like learning how to be yourself, because we all got taken away from ourselves by programming, in a million different ways. So I do that through the gene keys and through inner child work and parts work and things like that. So I can sort of see from my way of understanding myself, which is kind of through astrology, but by default, like I'm learning about astrology through Litmus, but the gene keys structure is based on astrology, and that's how I've come to understand it, which is like healing through contemplation and synchronicity. So I've come to see that I am a systems buster, but I'm also able to point people in the direction of systems and structures that enable them. So coming out of the systems and structures that have disabled us into the ones that enable us and help us kind of like move into self-understanding and self-knowledge. And like all the beautiful things in life, like it's all been kind of completely kind of accidental, like in a similar way to how Andy set up Holistic Radio, and he was just playing and it just happened, and he felt compelled, like I felt compelled to go into healing work after I had a nervous breakdown. It wasn't part of my plan. So I'm curious about everybody else in this group and what they intuitively feel about what's going on here, because I'd quite like to just provide people with opportunities to look at their gene keys profile and help them understand their own lives and their own paths through the gene keys. Like I'm able to do that for free, like Litmus has been doing his astrology readings for free, because I think that we're here to activate people and to help that acceleration. And it feels like there's an acceleration happening now in the universe, more than there has been. Feels sort of like a tipping point. And also, like, which I've only just thought today, I had an experience in 2021 where I saw 3 spaceships above my house in broad daylight. And they were red lights, 3 red lights in a triangular formation, like not connected to each other, 3 separate ships. And I felt absolutely high as a kite and delighted and amazed to see them. And then after that, I went into fear and felt extremely frightened by it, and then sort of pushed away the experience. And then when I eventually kind of sat in a meditation to ask, who's that? And why me? And what's going on? I saw a vision of a blue eye, and then I got scared in that meditation and pushed that away and then tried to forget about it. And then about a week later, my daughter came into the kitchen while I was cooking, and she said, "Oh, I drew this for you, Mum." And she put a picture of a big blue eye in front of me. So, like, at the time, I was not interested in the galactics. I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Like, I was a bit resistant to all of this talk of Pleiadians and Arcturians. I thought it was silly, I thought these people were on the wrong path. And then that happened to me, and I think the message was something simple like, "We see you," because it was an eye. And I think it was just a disclosure thing. I think that they are just going to rock up in our backyards. But yeah, like that must be connected to this somehow. Like I've not understood it for years, and I've not had any other things like that happen. I having done some research about what that was that I saw, I think it might have been my future self. So my intuition about this group is that we have got these old souls, and that we have decided to come back from the future. We saw that Earth was going in the wrong direction, and we volunteered to come and assist in some way. So I think that might have been my future self, but I don't know that. But that's a thing that I think is connected to this. So yeah, I'm just interested to hear what everybody else thinks about all of this.
Yeah, that's amazing, Jen. And I'd forgotten about that experience you had, but I was blown away when you told me that when you came to visit. So yeah. Amazing stuff, right? And you've just reminded me, Daniel's brother, Matt, my nephew, he's had an experience when he was on holiday a few years ago. I think it was in Greece or somewhere. where he saw a ship, you know, as well.
Yeah.
So perhaps I need to check his chat and see if he's got galactic centre as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyone else, please, if you feel like asking anything or commenting or saying how you vibing with this for me and Jen, yeah, that'd be great to hear your views as well.
I love this, Litmus, but I was sitting here wondering, would we have more aspects to different planets the more ancient we are, or the more old in years we are in this present moment, or is there any correlation, do you think, or no?
Oh, okay, that's a good question, Kevin. In terms of how old you are in this lifetime now, no, because this is based on your birth chart, right? So it doesn't matter if you're 5 or if you're 95, your birth chart's the same. So you're going to have the same aspects to galactic center or not, however, whatever age you are, yeah? So the blueprint is set at the time that you chose. In my view, we choose when we incarnate, and we incarnate, in my view, energetically, so that we get this chart, right? So that we get these planets in aspect to these planets and this star and this galactic center, and what, you know, that's worked out, I believe, before we incarnate, and that's why we incarnate. Now, in terms of the soul, are we older souls or not? What the theory suggests is that if you've got, basically, if you've got an aspect in your chart to one of the 3 outer planets, so that's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, right? So if you all look at the charts I sent you, and don't worry if you can't see it, because I've written them all down in, I've got them all here. But if you want to have a look for yourself at the chart I sent, if you look in your chart, in the step pyramid on the bottom left-hand corner of your chart, you'll see 3 rows up from the bottom. There's that row has got star and it's got G. So that's your galactic center. And you can go left across the row, or you can go down in the column. You've only got your ascendant and your midheaven below that. Yeah. And you'll see then in those, either in the row or the column, you'll see if you've got a connection, which you all have, it'll tell you what it is. It'll have a sextile symbol or a conjunction symbol or whatever it is. Yeah. So, and it'll be in a column, and then you just see which planet that column is, or row or whatever, right? So, for example, Kevin, yours, you've got ancient, I think. Let's have a look, Kevin. Yeah, so you've got an ancient, so you've got an old soul connection to galactic center, because you have a trine, which is like an equilateral triangle symbol, to Pluto, all right, which is the furthest out of the main 10 planets and the slowest moving, right? Now, what in the theory, what that suggests for you as an old soul, an old ancient soul, is that your first incarnation, if you like, or soul connection, straight out of source, as a new aspect of God, as a new aspect of the all one and the self that we're all part of at source, you chose to go to galactic center first. That's what this trine to Pluto suggests. Because aspects to Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto mean you have ancient, what they call ancient connections to galactic center. So that's like way back in time, your very first manifestation. So it's like you're from galactic center, right? But then you've also got some aspects to closer in planets. So if you look in your chart, you'll see you've got a sextile to your Venus and a square to your Jupiter with the galactic center, okay? And that suggests you've had 2 visits back to galactic center, probably with some kind of incarnation there in the distant past. but you haven't got any recent ones. So you haven't got any aspects to your sun or your moon or your ascendant or your midheaven or your north node. Yeah, so you haven't got a specific mission now. You haven't like come here directly from Galactic Center, but you've been there in the distant past and way before that, back in ancient times. So it's like you're from there. And, you know, when we consider you've got an aspect to Pluto, you know, that's the chances of that. Let me give you an idea. So the last time Pluto was conjunct the Galactic Center was in 2006, okay? So to go back to the start of the previous Pluto cycle, we have to go back to 1759, all right? So Pluto was conjunct the Galactic Center on the 1st of January, 1759. All right, now you had to be born in like late 1958, in 59, or in early 1960 to have an aspect in terms of a conjunction in your birth chart to Galactic Center, right? And then you would, if you were born anywhere between 1760 and 1800, 40 years later, you wouldn't, nobody born during those 40 years would have an aspect. Yeah? But then anyone born in 1800, or, you know, maybe late 1799 or early 1801, depends, you know, we'd have to look at that in more detail, but you know what I'm saying, roughly around 1800, everybody born then is going to have an opening sextile, a 60-degree angle to Galactic Center. Everybody. So, you know, everybody, if you were born at that time, it's not rare at all to have a connection. It's 100%, you know, everyone's going to have one. But then if you're not born after 1800 until 1820, nobody's going to have an aspect. You see what I mean? And then we get to the square. So the opening square was in 1820, you know, and then you have to wait till 1840 to have the trine. And nobody born in between is going to have a connection to Pluto, to Galactic Center, you know? And then you have to wait till 1883 for the opposition, 1924 for the closing trine, 1945 for the closing square, or 1966 for the closing sextile, and then 2006 for the conjunction. So anybody born in 2006 is going to have a conjunction in their chart to Pluto. All right. So, but you can see there's loads of years in between all of those points where nobody's going to have a connection to Pluto. You see what I mean? So, you know, it's still only, if you add up all those years that you could have a connection from your Pluto Galactic Center, it's still only 8.3% of the 248-year cycle of Pluto. You see what I'm saying? So it is still, basically, if you as a soul wanted to choose an incarnation here on Earth now in this lifetime to Pluto to show that you are an ancient Galactic Center soul who incarnated there for the first time, you would have to choose to be born in one of these periods. So you were born around, was it when were you born, Kev?
Where was I born? In Hamilton, Ontario.
No, sorry, when?
Oh, in February 27, 1957.
Right, 57. So you've got a square, right? Let's have a look. Kevin. Yeah, what's we got here? Yeah, trine, yeah. So you've got a trine there. So you're in, because what I've done, I've used a 3-degree orb, okay? So if your planet is within 3 degrees before Galactic Center, or 3 degrees after in any of these 5 aspects, that's classed as an aspect. So we got this 6-degree window, right? So the year you were born falls into one of those windows. But for you to have the aspect you've got for your Pluto, to show you're this old soul from Galactic Center, you would have to choose to be born within these few years when that happens. And all the other, 92% of the years you could choose wouldn't have that connection. So I hope I'm getting the point over. What I'm saying is it's still rare, right? And to have multiple connections to Galactic Center, you have to choose the right years where Pluto has an aspect, and then if you want a Saturn one, you have to choose the right time when Saturn has one. And then if you've got a Sun one, you have to also choose a time when the Sun has an aspect, so the chances get smaller and smaller. So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's really amazing. To me, it's just blowing my mind.
Yeah, that's great. I find it odd that I have a connection with Mercury. I have an affinity for what Thoth says. So I wonder if, because I'm from Pluto, the farthest, somehow I...
Hello?
To the Sun, Mercury.
No, you haven't got one to Mercury, Kev. It's you've got a sextile to Venus and a square to Jupiter and a trine to Pluto, okay? So, and it's not saying you're from Pluto. What it's saying is you're from Galactic Center, but you're trying to Pluto shows everyone and yourself that you're from Galactic Center. You see what I mean? That's what it means.
Yeah, so I could be the first at Galactic Center among us.
Yeah, but there's what we got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, we've got 10 people in the group who've got the ancient connections. So they're all from Galactic Center. Their first incarnation was at Galactic Center. All right. And you're one of them. But you don't have a recent connection. So you don't have a specific mission in this lifetime, but you're here as an ancient Galactic Center soul, in my view, based on my studies, to help the rest of us to fulfill our missions, right? You and some other people who don't have, like Jen, right? Jen doesn't have a specific mission, but all her distant past connections to Galactic Center means she's here to help the rest of us with how we communicate and how we show love over fear and how we set boundaries. And first she's had to do that for herself, and that's taken a lot of work. And and we all go through the darkness, the shadows and the suffering and the pain to come out the other side, right? And then she's gonna show us, the rest of us, how to do that, or help us to do it, right? Yeah, so that's how it works. So
I love that.
Cool.
That's what I do. That's what I do. That's what I feel my mission is. I go all around Telegram like that. Yeah, making people laugh and so on.
Yeah, so don't worry if people laugh, because that just means they're not vibing with the Galactic Center connection. And if you did their charts, you'd probably find they haven't got a connection to Galactic Center. But anyone you connect with who does will probably just vibe with it, and think, oh, I'm going to talk to Kevin a bit more, So it's really interesting, yeah. Thanks, Kev. Anyone else got any comments or views or perceptions or intuitions or anything they want to share? Andy, can I ask you to comment on what Jen was saying about how you set Holistic Radio up?
Oh, yes.
I have a question after that.
Okay.
It's a very, very simple scenario. And it basically started 3 years ago. in April of 2023, where I was seeing several Zoom meetings being cancelled because the host was not available, couldn't make it for whatever reason. So that they could have longer than 20 minutes, because I think back then, it might have changed now, but back then it was 20 minutes if you didn't pay. If you was a subscriber, you could then obviously have as long as you wanted. So these hosts sometimes would not be available. So I thought, right, I'm sure I've seen that Telegram does similar things, as a similar feature as Zoom does. It might not be as polished and might not be as professional as Zoom is or was back then. So I thought, right, I'll practice and see if I can set it up. And I learn by doing. So I created this sort of not fake, but I created this sort of conceptual radio station. Called it at the time, I called it Freedom Radio initially, and went about using the features that we now use right now. One of the aspects of it was that I was aware that not everybody is technically minded when it comes to apps and software and using everything. So I tried to keep it, as you've become well aware, I always try and keep things stupidly simple so that anybody can utilize it. And one of the prime reasons that I wanted to keep it audio only and not visual was bandwidth, so that anybody with a mobile phone, regardless of what connection they've got, as long as they had a stable connection to data or Wi-Fi, it will be very easy to listen to an audio broadcast. And so that's the sort of premise that I then started playing around with, and that became a radio station. Just like, we used to listen to radio shows back in the day, and took it from there. And then as I played around with it and did more with it, people started coming on board. People started sort of going, all right. But then I also realized that there was other stations and other radio stations, physical, real world ones, not just online, that sort of took the moniker of Freedom Radio. So I had to change. Well, I didn't have to, but I decided to change it. And I was looking around at the time as to all the different meanings of, holistic, homeopathic, traditional, all these sort of different words and phrases that you keep hearing about. And when I've focused in on holistic and researched that a little bit, it became obvious that holistic meant whole, not just one aspect of you, me, but all aspects of us: mind, spirit, body, physical, emotional, all the different aspects. It's not just focusing on one thing. But a lot of people still think that holistic means herbal remedies, and that's it. And it isn't.
But if you think about that, Andy, like how mind-blowingly important it is, the notion of holistic, like it's the antidote to separation, and separation is what all the agendas are.
Exactly.
And like ultimately, we're with our own consciousness, like we're moving from fragmentation into integration, so we're becoming more whole. And then we've been separated from the galactic community, so Earth is going to become a proper member of the galactic community, so we're becoming whole in that way. So there's just loads of different ways to look at it. That holistic was kind of a mind-blowing choice for the name of the vessel.
And it just popped in there. It wasn't, it was just like, that fits. Holistic just meant I resonated with the thought in my head, thinking, right, you can't heal just one piece of yourself. You have to heal all of yourself. You can't just focus on one thing only, because that just leaves the rest of it to fester. So you've got to encompass everything and heal the whole. So holistic radio came out of that notion of just like, looking for a different word to Freedom Radio. And holistic radio was born, and people started coming on board.
Amen, brother. Yeah, I mean, you've got to heal the whole of you, right? Absolutely. And that's what Jen's helping people do, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to help people look at themselves holistically, which is not what the current medical services are doing.
Yeah. So, and Helen, thanks, Andy. That was great for the background there. Oh, and just before we go to Helen, how do you vibe with this galactic center thing? How's it feeling to you? Is it kind of a bit weird, or are you excited? Or
oh no. There was, just to clarify for people that may not know, but when they see the words galactic center, what does that exactly mean? Are you talking about a center of the galaxy source where everything comes from, or something else?
Yeah, so what we're talking about is the central hub of the galaxy around which everything rotates. So like the central sun, if you like, that around which all the other suns, including our sun, rotate. And it takes about 240 million years for, depending where you are in that, to go around once, right? So what's at the center, according to the astronomers, is a supermassive black hole called Sagittarius A. And if you see Sagittarius A star, that's the radio transmission that comes from that black hole, because it's a massive radio transmitter. So they can pick up the cosmic radiation from that black hole here on Earth, and we're like 27,000 light years away from the center, right? So these are enormous, crazy, massive, big, enormous numbers, but that's such an intense transmission. We can pick that up on Earth here. So yeah, it's a black hole. It's massive. It's hang on, I did make a note of this, and I forgot to mention this on my nugget the other day. I think it's something
quickly,
like,
just while you're doing that, I did read yesterday that Voyager 1 that was sent from Earth in, I think it was 1977, has just reached the point out there as it's traveling at 25,000 miles per second or whatever it is now one light day away from Earth.
yeah, that's one light day. I mean, it's nuts, isn't it? Yeah, and it's been going it was launched in like the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 1977 or something around that, 76, 77, something like that.
I think
but
it
it's
was,
now, yeah, and it's now achieved the mile marker, the milestone of reaching one light day away from Earth.
Yeah, so I think about 77, because it was the year that Star Wars and Jaws and that came out, wasn't it? And then not long after that, we had when was Close Encounters actually? Was that around then as well?
I think that was around 77, 78, yeah.
Yeah, and then not long after, I think 79, we had the first Star Trek movie whose plot was based around V'ger, as they called it, right? Spoiler if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So you should have told us that before you said it, Litmus. But yeah, absolutely. So it's only gone one light day since 1977.
Yeah, and I think the speed that it's traveling at is something like 25,000 miles a second.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? I mean, just so you know, 1 light year is almost, I think it's something like 3.9 trillion kilometers. It's something like roughly 4 trillion kilometers. Yeah, so it's crazy big. And yeah, this supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy is 4 million solar masses, all right? So if you take the mass of our sun, the black hole at the center is 4 million times as massive. 400 million. Yeah, did I say 400 million? Sorry, 4 million. 4 million. So it's 4 million times more massive than the sun, which is crazy numbers again, isn't it? So So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So galactic center is basically this massive black hole, and it's in the 27th degree currently of the tropical zodiac, the 27th degree of Sagittarius in the tropical zodiac. Right?
So,
yeah.
Just so that I understand this in my own head as well and clearly, are you saying then that those of us with those galactic center references in our charts, are you saying we're from galactic center, or are you saying that in our physical birth form we were born with those aspects of galactic center in our chart?
All right, good question. If you're like Kevin and you've got an outer planet in aspect to it, you're from there. So like AD, who's Jane Angel's partner, Emily Jane, Jaggy, and Morgan, and Kevin. Let's see, and Val 13. They're all from their first incarnation in the theory was at Galactic Center. So they're basically from there. What they call your soul DNA lineage goes back to you were born at Galactic Center, basically, if you like. But if you've got any planets in aspect from Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, so coming in towards the sun, unless you've also got an outer one, you're not from Galactic Center, but you've had an incarnation or a connection to it in some way through your soul in the distant past. And we don't know when, but just way back in time somewhere. So you've got that experience. You've lived at Galactic Center, if you like, but you weren't born there, yeah? You know, you can live in London or Manchester or wherever, but you might have been born in Cardiff, you know? So those people I mentioned, they're like from there. And then anyone with these middle planets has had an experience there in the distant past. And then like anyone who's got their sun, their moon, their ascendant, midheaven or north node, and I'm adding in midheaven and north node. That's not in the theory, but when I was studying it, Melvin was saying to me, you got to include those two. So that's me. I've put those in there. But particularly if you've got sun, moon, or ascendant, basically the holy trinity of your birth chart, you know, the father, the mother, the son, you know, Isis, Osiris, Horus, or Jesus and Joseph and Mary, or whichever mythology you want to take. It's, you know, the sacred masculine, the sacred feminine, and the union, the alchemical union of those two as the symbolic child of the universe. You always say we're children of the universe, right, Andy? So if you've got those, you're not from Galactic Center, and you didn't go there in the distant past, but you've just been there recently. Yeah. But some of us have got all three. We're from there. We've had a distant incarnation there, and we've had a recent one. You know, and we've all got a mixture of those. We've either got one or two or three. All right. So does that answer your question?
I think it does, yes, thank you. I hope Helen hasn't forgot what she was going to say.
Yeah, Helen.
Hi, yeah. No, I haven't forgot what I was going to say, but I am curious who the ones are with all three. Not sure why, but I am. But my question was, we're learning about this galactic center, which is a black hole, which is the actual center of our universe. Is that right? Our solar system. It's the center of our solar system.
No, the center of our galaxy, Helen. Sorry.
Galaxy. Okay. There's terminology that I'm going to get mixed up, like universe, a galaxy, solar system. They're all obviously mean different things. So that's something else.
They're all layers in the fractal, yeah. So the first layer is the universe itself, yeah. Then the galactic layer, then the solar system layer, then the actual star layer, then the planet, and then the people on the planet.
I
and then
love how
within
you
that,
think I'm going to
so
remember all of that and still remember my question. Um,
okay.
my question is, you've gathered us together, you've done this, you've looked at this, and there's some sort of affinity that we all share. And I'm wondering, do you have an idea of what you wish to happen? Does Jen have an idea? What would you like to occur now? What are what are we doing here besides learning that we're all from the Galactic Centre or have ties to it? So yeah,
Yeah, okay,
I
great
suppose that
question,
my
Helen.
solution focused head is like, well, what am I doing here? I could be watching Chinese dramas or eating. Sorry, I'm joking. But
Yeah, yeah, no, I know you like your Asian drama soap operas.
I
Yeah,
do, I do. Yeah. So why am I here and not watching Sean Lee here? You know, kiss somebody. Go on. Sorry. Yeah.
well, obviously, it's your choice whether you wish to come and join any future things or not. Because that's the whole point, is to see how it vibes with everyone. Bearing in mind you've got this distant connection, where you're here to help clear some collective karma in terms of fighting for love over fear and willpower and drive and all of that stuff. But that's up to you. So what I and I'm sure Jen's got a view as well, but what I would like to kind of see for everyone that it vibes with, that we just explore it together some more, so I can talk one-to-one with you all to explain, just with your chat, what does it mean for you, what does this theory suggest that you're here to do. So I'm happy to give time to everyone one-to-one to do that if you want, and everyone who's not on the call today. But we've got 15 people in the group out of 20 who've been invited so far, so that's cool. So if it vibes with you, let's explore it some more. Let's find out what you're individually here to do and what I think we're collectively here to do, which is meet up now, in this time, in this place, in this medium, and remember what we're all here to do. And I believe we're a soul group, we're a soul family that agreed to come and meet at this time, this place, to take on this mission of upgrading the operating system, helping people reawaken to who they truly are, their true nature, not the matrix, but the natrix. That's what we're here to do, and to help each other do that. And as a group, help the ones that we come into contact with to do that as well. And, I think we'll probably find that a lot of people in our circles hold the light of truth within. Yes, Kevin, exactly. Thank you. I think, we may find a lot of people, because for me, it's not just you guys. It's like everyone I've met since I woke up and went on the road and went traveling and became my true self, and then made a connection. Everyone I made a connection with has got Galactic Centre. I mean, it's nuts. And all the people I met who I didn't really connect with, they haven't got it, So you may find the same thing. So that's another thing I can help you with. And Jen's obviously happy. She can talk about this, but like she said, she's happy to help you look at your gene keys, because there's a big correlation with gene keys and astrology, or human design if you're into that. That includes astrology as well. So there's, basically, I think we're a soul family here on a mission to help each other do it. So let's find out more about what that is. And I think the mission is for us all as a collective to individually focus on these strengths that we've got, galactic center, cosmic energy, based on the aspects we've got in our charts. And let's get the shit done, and help wake the rest of the world up.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'd love to hear what Jen's going to say as well. And everybody else, to be fair, what we all would like to happen, I suppose.
Cool. Thanks, Helen.
I think the same. Like it's like me and Litmus, neither of us are particularly interested in money. Like we don't want to lead you into like our workshop or kind of like the thing that we're selling, because we're not interested in that. Like we're interested in playing, and the reason that this show came about was because I recently went down to Birmingham to speak to a group down there, a truth group, because there was a listener to my show, Feeling is Healing, who was inspired by what I was sharing, and she knew that I would vibe with that group. And it's something I've not done, like speak on a stage with a microphone. Like, it terrified me to do. But when I went down and met them all, it was such a lovely time. And I met Jane, Angel, and Adi, who are also in this group, but they're not here today on this call. When I met them, I just felt such a family affinity with them in such an unusual way that I knew that they also had this galactic center connection. But I had no way of knowing that, but I knew. I just knew. And then when Litmus did their charts, they were also part of the galactic center thing. So then I when I was out walking one day, I asked the universe to show me magic, which I do sometimes, and it helps me have good ideas. And the good idea that day when I said show me magic was for us to get everybody together and do a show. Because I think that there's something here, we all have keys for each other, like we've got some way of activating each other, and we don't know what that is yet, but I feel like it comes to you through play, these kind of things. It comes to you sort of when you're not looking for it, and you're just having a laugh, and you're with the right people, and then brilliant ideas happen. And that's what I think this is. I think that there'll probably be tangents, and it isn't just one thing. I think with this many people, it has the potential to be a lot of things, and that we all have something for the others that can help to activate them or move them forward. So I'm excited about what that is.
Yeah, and that's great, Jen. And didn't you like muscle test it with Adi and Jane, and you found the answer was yes before I did their charts?
Yeah. Well, I just knew it. I knew that they were something to do with this. So lots of kind of interesting things have led up to this. Yeah, I knew that they were, and then I muscle tested, are they galactic center people? And I got a yes for them both. And then Litmus confirmed that. So yeah, maybe this group will get bigger. Maybe it will stay kind of just these people that we've got now. Like, we don't really know where it's going. See what happens.
Thanks, Jen. I mean, Angie, you don't have to chip in if you don't want to, but I see you've just pulled 5 tarot cards from the Healing Waters deck. Would you like to share what you see there, or not, or should we just look at the picture, or what?
You can look at the pictures if you like. It's actually it's an oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell, so she's pretty good. So the first card that came out was the Metamorphosis card. I mean, you can't get much from that, can you, really?
Yeah.
Because if we are, we're on that journey, on that synchro-mystic illuminated path, which is how we describe it, although Ian describes it as a magic carpet. That's where we are. We're in this transitional phase of, ditching the stuff that has nothing to do with us and aligning more and more to, who we are. And it actually says, embrace transformation. Things are now different. So I love that. I think that's fantastic.
That's good.
Obviously, this is the Healing Waters deck, so it's all water based.
Yeah.
Which we know, water holds frequency, vibration. Mm-hmm. So I think, I don't know how, but I know water plays a big part in this journey. I don't know how, what that actually looks like on a day-to-day basis, which is why I chose this deck, I would say. The other cards there, you got Atlantis. So I don't really jive with Atlantis necessarily. More Lemuria for me. But you know, it's a similar kind of energy. It was beings who were advanced, but not in, you know, like not tech way. You know, this was natural abilities, if you like, that people would say is advanced or magic. That's kind of what that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
That's kind of what that card indicates to me. And keep aligning to that.
So it's
you know, our intention. Sorry.
No, sorry. There's a delay, and I keep thinking you've stopped, and it's not. It's doing that lactic anthem. But while I've got the opportunity, just to say I've forgotten what I was bloody saying now. Oh yeah, Lemuria or Atlantis. Atlantis, Atlantic, Lemuria, Pacific, right? Roughly, I think. But those were, advanced. So to me, those are way back up in the higher ages, the golden age of consciousness. And they disappeared as we came down in consciousness towards Kali Yuga, right? But what you're talking about there, it wasn't technology, it was natural stuff, right? So it's the Naturix, right? Rather than the Matrix, it was natural technology, if you like. Yeah. Not man-made, you know, metal and electricity and shit like that. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think there is such a thing as like natural electricity, but that's more, I mean, I don't want to go into this too much, but that's fire and air. It's those two elementals that come together. It's not something that's piped through, you know, electrical cables.
Yeah, exactly. It's natural electricity. Yeah.
Yeah. Lady of the Lake. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things around that particular mythology, but this is a card of new beginnings. So, you know, again, couldn't get much more clear than that.
Yeah.
The two cards underneath that, so that's the underlying energy. This is the long game. And I think we've all been playing that long game, have we not?
Yeah, well, I love it. Yeah.
You know, if you look at the Earth as a spaceship, yeah, and we're traveling to wherever we're going to, and what I find quite interesting is when you're in a ship on the water, yeah, and you're about to pull into a port, there's lots of activity, isn't there? It's very busy, and you see more things, you see more ships, yeah. You know, you're getting ready to pull into port. You know, is that not what we're doing?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's a good analogy. Yeah, yeah.
Because we're seeing. I mean, I've seen things in the sky. I'm like, what the fuck's that?
Yeah.
Things moving in strange ways, or just there 1 minute and then they're not there, and it's like, okay. And you always know when you've seen a spacecraft. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Something inside you that knows. And the last card, Ancient Wisdom. Well, there you go. You know, when these cards came out, I'm like, okay, that's pretty damn clear, really.
I think through you, these cards are showing that we're onto something with this, right? They're not saying the opposite. It's not saying it's all rubbish. It's saying it's vibing. It's all vibing, right?
Absolutely. You know, and there's 50 something cards in this deck, so you know, I like the synchro mystic stuff. You know, you know, there were so many other cards that could have come out, but these were the ones that wanted to say hi.
Well, how many cards are there out of interest? Exactly.
Hang on 1 second. I don't know if they've got numbers on. Damn, no, they don't.
The deck has different amounts. Most decks correspond with the number 9. I think 36 or different decks have different amounts. Jagdeep, may I? Yes.
Thank you, Helen. Hi, guys.
Hi, yes, Jaggy.
Hiya, lads. How are you? Oh, well, I'm really, really enjoying this. Let me just put the volume up a bit. Angie, wow,
Yes.
amazing, amazing. I just wanna put my 2 cents in. Firstly, people like myself who were skeptical about things like magic, when I found holistic, I found Angie, and when I found Angie, my eyes were opened.
Oh wow. You activated your magical eyes.
And like Jenny said, I think it was Jenny that said it, that we are activating each other. And that when she said that, that's the first thing that came into my mind, is that I was always skeptical about Wicca and all of this kind of stuff. But I had my own sort of aligned beliefs, if you will. And then when I found Angie and I started listening to her, and then I actually practiced what she was sharing, and I had actual, like, what would you call it? Sensory, I don't know,
Evidence?
but it worked.
Stop.
It worked. It
Stop.
worked. Yes, it worked. So that activated
Wow.
something in me, you know, and it has opened me up to your whole world, whereas previously I would have been skeptical about it. And I just want to quickly talk about your cards and water, because synchronicity would have it. This morning, I had decided to take the label off of a water bottle that I had taken from a pub, because we went to a pub and I wasn't drinking, and I had soda water and I didn't finish it. So I brought home the bottle. And then this morning, I decided that I was going to do a video on a water prayer and how to actually program your water. Talking about energy, water is one of the things we cannot live without it. Number one, if we don't hydrate properly and take that water into our bodies, we become ill. So water is really, really important. Purer, the better. And with a water prayer, that just intensifies those vibrations. Atlantis going underwater. I think water is going to be the key. That's it. Thank you very much, Litmus. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you, everyone. This is incredible, amazing, and so timely.
Oh, thanks, Jaggy.
Can
Brilliant.
I come in on the cards as well? Because I had a vibe when I seen the water, and I just want to back up, I suppose, what Jackie's saying in regards to water. I think we all know the phenomenal nature of it, and I don't know, but perhaps someone here knows. It's not just for this planet, is it? There is water particles or the elements of water everywhere, or am I wrong? That's what I have in my head. That water is absolutely everywhere, even if it's not in the form that, like a sea or a lake or a river. But water it's in the air and it's everywhere in the universe. But the cards, when I saw Angie's cards, they resonated with me in terms of, and I don't know what the proper meanings are. This is just the vibration I received in terms of the metamorphosis. This is obviously something that's taking place amongst, I'd say, all of us. We can all feel some sort of change, some sort of emergence and alchemization, metamorphosis of self. And the Lady of the Lake is that taking something from within. For me, she's taking something from within that we all hold within us, and that we just need to access. And when I'm talking, I'm really aware of myself. And if it doesn't resonate with anybody else, this was for me, and I apologise. Atlantis is something. This is what the cards meant to me. Atlantis is something that is mythological, and that it's about us getting ancient in this, in what this is, and the gentle forces. Actually, it was you. I could hear when I saw the gentle force. It was like, Helen, just fucking rest. If you want to rest, if you want to spend a year doing this, do it. So that gentle force, rather than constantly trying. And I think that for myself, there's an element of compounded shame and inadequacy and all sorts of things on me because I haven't done, and it hasn't been a gentle force. So it was about, Helen, give yourself a break. And the water codes, because I've literally this morning just been listening to stuff about the Gnostics, and I've never really gone into the Gnostics. There's loads of stuff I just don't know. and yet most of the stuff that came from there really relates to this reading for me personally. It's
Amazing.
within. It's, you know, the codes are within, everything is within you, and it is ancient, and it is time for emergence. So yeah, if that doesn't vibe with anybody else, my apologies for taking a bit of space on here. Well, no,
Not at all, Helen. That's great stuff. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think, you know, water in some form is everywhere in the universe. Certainly the, you know, hydrogen and oxygen, which make it, are everywhere. You know, so yeah, I mean, it's just in liquid form on Earth for the species living on Earth who need to interact with it in liquid form, you know. But it's, as you say, the components or some form of water is everywhere. And I think, is it Vader Austin who says that water is condensed light? Have you come across that one?
Her stuff on water is phenomenal.
Right.
Her stuff on water as well. It holds memory.
Yeah.
And when I learned that water holds memory, that just answered a massive question on how is it that we know absolutely or we have access, not that we know it, but we have access to absolutely everything, past, present, future, the whole shebang. And it was water that made me realise that's how it travels. That's how knowledge, for me, knowledge travels through water.
Yeah,
definitely.
Because we're mostly made of water, right? So it makes sense that we can tap into those ancient memories through that medium. Yeah, that's excellent stuff. And I love Angie's CAD reading. I mean, it's bang on, right? So, and we've got the codes there as well, you know, so maybe it's coming through light and through water in its condensed form, light in its condensed form to us in all of these ways. Yeah, and we are turning a corner. We are emerging into a new kind of energy. We can all feel it. We've all felt the changes within us and within each other. And we're all vibrating at our most excellent frequency, as Andy would say. And I think, yeah, I really think there's something here, you know. So I don't think it's in any way just a random coincidence, you know. So, yeah, thanks, Helen, for sharing your views. And thank you, Angie, for taking us through what the cards mean. As always.
There's 44 cards in that deck. Okay.
Yeah, so you've pulled out 5. You know, if it was 50, it'd be 10%. You pulled out 10% of the cards. It's a little bit more than that because there's 44. But, you know, when you think the chances of having a galactic center connection is 8.3%, the chances of you pulling these cards is probably 11 or 12% or something. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's for one. I mean, that would be, yeah, getting 5 that all relate to what we're talking about is not, you know, it's not random, is it? Didn't get, it's not like you got 1 card or 2 cards which kind of vibe and sync in with what we're talking about. It's like all 5 of them, right? So thank you, Angie. That's cool.
Just
thanks
one last musing on water. Water is kind of a shapeshifter.
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be many things. It can be solid. It can be etheric, like steam or mist, and it can be, you know, fluid. It's very shapeshifty in its nature.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
as is
pretty
light.
cool, really.
Light is exactly the same because it's a particle and it's a wave simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what's really cool about that is if we are mostly water, then that also means we are mostly light. So would that make us neutrinos?
And light beings.
Light beings, exactly.
Yeah, we're condensed light beings.
Yep. There we go.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it makes sense. It makes sense, right? That as you connect through your intuition, through looking inside to source, through your higher self and all of that stuff, and your vibe goes up and you stop drinking alcohol and all these things that bring your vibe down. And then the more you do that, the more you want that and the less you want the old stuff. And it goes up and up and up and up. And it kind of goes up exponentially, I'm finding. The more that happens you know, it makes sense then that perhaps more of our water like evaporates into light, right? Rather than condensing into water. So that's something I think I've just realized just from this chat right now. So that's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. That's
And
alchemy.
you could also say, so if you pull cards for stuff, yeah, on your journey, essentially what you're doing is you're using a compass. So again, we're back to the ship. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of ships and and water and stuff in terms of drowning. But you know, the analogies are spot on. So the cards are like a compass.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all energy, isn't it? It's all magic. Like you say, everything is magic. What was that? Sorry.
Get your cards out, everybody.
Get your cards out, yeah. That's what I always say when I meet a girl. Right, get your cards out, darling. Let's have a look at them. Come on. Yeah. That's why I never get a second date. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Yeah, I think it's all good stuff. So I just want to say, and obviously anyone else who wants to chip in is welcome, just to say that if you are on this call and I haven't done your chart and you don't know if you've got a galactic center connection, please get in touch and send me your birth details and I'll do your card and we'll have a look. And obviously, if we find you've got some connections as well, you might want to join our gang, because you know we want to. Yeah, like Jen said, we want to play. We want to have a laugh. We don't want to take it all serious. Oh, we are galactic center beings on a mission, and we must be very serious. You know, not that at all. So it's like, yeah, we're here to play and have some fun as we figure it all out together, right?
Yeah, fun is where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, get in touch if you haven't got your chart. And as I say, if you want me to do a one-to-one, a bit more detail about your own individual chart, let me know. Jen's happy to do your gene keys. Yeah, and let's do a bit of that. Whoever wants to do that from now on, going forward, and then we'll just see if and when it feels right to do another, broadcast number 2. But I mean, I think it's been great, and it's so great to see so many of you joining us on this first one. And I hope we've covered, what you were expecting us to cover. But if you've got any more questions, like for me or Jen or anyone else who said anything, fire away now. Okay, and otherwise,
I was just going to jump in and just say there are some visual stimuli.
Yes,
I've posted up on the group. If people want to peruse and entertain their little grey souls.
That's right, and Andy, thanks. Yeah, me and Andy been working on a few little memes and things lately, so he shared them. In the group there under Kevin's alien visitor, which looks like a borboleta to me, a butterfly, which I'm very close to. So yeah, Andy's got one he's done there about the natural universe versus man-made constructs, and he's put one together based on what we were talking about unplugging from the matrix and sinking back into the matrix. So there's a couple of those there. Yeah. So I love it. The way Andy knocks these up just on the cuff, off the cuff, I say something one morrow and by the evening there's a meme for it, it's great.
It helps me to exercise my creativity side.
Yeah, man. It's so, yeah. Well, that's a great point to end on if we're going to end, right? Because it's all about creativity, right? the universe is a creation, and it's made from creative energy. And whatever people might want to call God, to me, that is the creative energy of the universe, you know. So yeah, let's create to be great, and be as creative as we can. And with creativity, if you want to look at it astrologically, which is probably no surprise to you that I do, creativity is all about the 5th house. And also in the 5th house, guess what? Is fun, entertainment, romance, children, laughs, you know, all of that lovely stuff. It goes with Leo and the sun, all the creative force of the sun. And Leo symbolizing the hottest time, the sun at its most potent heat-wise in the whole year cycle, you know? So yeah, let's create as much as we can. And anyone who is creative and who hasn't been, you know, expressing their creativity in some way recently, you're probably feeling the urge to do that lately. And if you are, I would just encourage you, you know, let that genie out of the bottle, you know, let's go nuts and just create lots and lots of stuff. We can do co-collaborations, we can write books, we can make media, we can write stories, you know, allegorical stories. We can, there's nothing we can't do together, you know. We're strong and powerful wizards and witches, and we're all here from Galactic Centre, right? So let's do it.